The doomsday will not come unless the Arab lands return to a verdant green state, where rivers flow. If there are people that haven't heard of what happened yet, the world is currently shaking with these images of what has been happening in the desert. These images, which spread quite rapidly on the internet, it raised two important questions. How did water gush out in the middle of the desert and began covering everything? Could this be the event that Prophet Muhammad said would happen in the Arabian deserts near the doomsday? Almost everyone suspected that this could be a sign of doomsday. Let's go to the desert and study everything in detail while we are here. August 2022. Social media was totally flabbergasted by the footage that was assumed to be from the Arabian desert. This became the most popular occasion on both Google Trends and social media sites in a short period. Some claimed that they are fake. Some claimed that these aren't present-day footage and were taken a few years ago, while others told that there was nothing strange about the water appearing in the Arabian desert, and this was completely normal. But there is one thing that attracts the attention of the mass is the fact that the Prophet Muhammad warned us all that such a day would come about 1,400 years ago. Of course, God knows the best. There is so much fake information on social media. It would be better for us not to rush to an alarmed state and interpret what we see and hear differently. All of us are well aware of the strange flooding and unusual weather events that have occurred in the deserts of Arabia in recent years. After briefly inspecting this, and since this topic brought us to the hadith of Prophet Muhammad about the events that will take place in the Arabian deserts near the doomsday, I will tell you about another turns of events that you need to hear on this topic. Information that you will hear later in the video will attract your attention more than this suddenly gushing water in the desert. First of all, let's underline that there is still no healthy information about these footages that suddenly went viral. However, some individuals claim that the footages aren't fake and have not been made with any video effects. It's worth nothing. Other than that, there are a few claims. First of all, the water came out naturally by itself, which can also happen, because it's not surprising that there is water under the desert. The second is the possibility of Arabia's project to move water to the desert. And if you ask us where we came from the sign of doomsday, let's take a look at the hadith of Prophet Muhammad again. The doomsday will not come unless the Arab lands return to a verdant green state, where rivers flow. From this, we understand that there will come a time when lush forests and rivers will appear in the dry deserts of Arabian Peninsula, which is scorched by the furious sun. Based on this important information that has been informed to us, those who saw the video about the river that suddenly began to flow in the desert, they wondered if this event could be the sign of the doomsday mentioned by Prophet Muhammad. Perhaps you may ask, how can desert will go and forest replace with them? Then you need to listen to an unimaginable project that Arabia has already started. But first, let's take a closer look at the Arabian Peninsula and even more broadly the entire Sahara Desert, which is located in the same climate zone as Arabia, because you will be very surprised by what you will hear. The Arabian Peninsula, there is a description of this place in the desert belt located in the 15 and 13 northern measures in Surah Ibrahim. in the holy book of the Quran as follows: Lord, I have settled some of my descendants in an uncultivated valley, close to your sacred sanctuary. Yes, the inland regions of Arabian Peninsula, especially in the Rubil Estuary Desert, may not receive even a drop of rainwater for many years. While this is common for a large part of the Arabian Peninsula, according to Prophet Muhammad, there will come a day when this will all be completely reversed. But what about the whole Sahara Desert? When we look at it from a bigger point of view, let me tell you a very interesting piece of information about these deserts, including the Arabian Peninsula. Once upon a time, there were verdant forests and rivers instead of these seemingly endless deserts. You heard it right. Research conducted by the scientists show that these places were once the center of heavy monsoon rains and giant forests. In a study conducted about Arabia, hippopotamus bones and sea hills were found about 1,000 kilometers from the Rub al Khali Desert. In a study supervised by Christopher Steele's team at the University of Oxford, 325,000 years old elephant and panther bones were found in the Nafut Desert. Researchers of the World Climate History from the Institute of Technology have discovered in their research in the Sahara Desert that lakes dating back 5 to 10,000 years ago were forests inhabited by hippopotamus and giraffes. But why were the aquatic animals of the once such rich forests were replaced by a few desert reptiles and camels? Again, the research showed that the world was experiencing an ice age until 10,000 years ago. And with the end of the ice age, the arrival of the warm era led to the gradual drying up of North Africa. This change of climate that has been brings the same questions to mind. Is the news of heavy rainfall, hail, snow and floods coming from Arabia in recent years of harbinger that we are entering a new era? According to the statements made by scientists, yes, as of 202, the world has begun to enter a mini ice age, and in 2030s, the effects of this mini ice age will have become the most intense and will last until 2050. It seems that we will encounter weather events that we cannot predict during this time will be inevitable, but it is scientifically doubtful that the expected climate change in such a short period of time will turn deserts into forests. But there is perhaps a completely different questions we need to ask. What if the fact that the deserts, which are an omen of doomsday, will turn into forests, is a process that experienced as a result of human intervention and not by natural means? Can mankind make such a big intervention in the desert? If so, let me introduce you this mind-blowing project of Arabia. Saudi Arabia, which had a plowable land with an average diameter of 400 kilometers in the 1960s, has increased its plowable land to 40,000 kilometers today. That's approximately the size of 4 Qatars. When you look at these apartments from a bird's eye view, there were arid deserts in the place of them, as in the rest of Arabian Peninsula until recently. But Arabia has launched an inconceivable project and seems determined to turn the desert green again. As I have just mentioned, even though Arabia consists mostly of desert, it's actually located on a very large water reserve. For many years, they have been extracting water from underground, just as they have been extracting oil, and most of the water drawn from under the desert is also reserved for use in agriculture. Thanks to the central pivot watering system, less harmful use of the groundwater can be confirmed. All these apartments that you see are huge green lands. Saudi Arabia continues to add new ones to its green lands every day. Apparently, the Arabian government seems to be thinking a lot about turning the deserts green. Who knows the transformation of the deserts into green again by the hadith of Prophet Muhammad? Perhaps will not be a spontaneous process but a result created by human hands. I mean, a situation that started much earlier than the videos of water gushing from the desert that have gone viral over the past week, may be more closely related to the doomsday sign mentioned by our Prophet. But still, God knows the best. We know that dozens of signs of doomsday have been received so far, and new ones are constantly being added to them. The great sign of doomsday will occur in a certain order. Therefore, even if the deserts turned into forests today, there is a certain process that will continue for many years before the doomsday. There are many more things that we will experience and see. See you in the next video.